This is the Between Ghosts of El Paso Part 16, our finale session. We left things in a state of cliffhanger last time. Slade was just becoming aware of an ambush that had been laid for Travis at the Rio Grande Saloon. And Slade had just asked the bouncer at the door, like, what's going on? And that's where we kind of cut. But we had noted that there were like shooters and stuff taking up a position. Sister Mary Erstwhile is the guest of a group of cultist miners up at the tin mine who have said that tonight they have some, they're having a special tent revival meeting or something going on tonight. And so that's something to look forward to. Related to that, most likely, is the fact that Del Sol / Mr. Perdition / Morpheus is currently heading to the mine with Pamela Pickett. And for the first time in the campaign, because Slade turned this sort of metaphorical key, or it was a literal key that unlocked a metaphor, I don't know. Anyway, Dreams, this character is like fully realized in the world. They are no longer a sort of like projection or they no longer have this like limited reach, right? They're able to sort of be in the world. And then on top of that, you are also trying to figure out how to stop the Reynoldses. Lady Bathsheba Hargrave Steele Lady Antonia Hargrave Steele came to you all and told you that the Reynoldses plan on derailing the ghost train by way of a spiritual bomb, and you need to figure out how and where this is going to take place so you can put a stop to it. Isabella Reynolds did make the offer of you could just help her get everyone out of El Paso so that they can do this and no one gets hurt, but you all have passed on that offer, and so this is what we have to do. And so you currently have, let's see how many clues you have with regards to this particular question. You currently have 4 clues, which is not too bad on a complexity 6. The clues are Isabella is keeping some kind of animal in the apartment next to hers. The derailment has to happen in El Paso. Was that the clue? I can't remember. I thought maybe there was another aspect of that was important. It is significant, though, that in fact the derailment, like the train, is basically only visible when it's on the Rio Grande by El Paso. So, blood sacrifice as a way of gaining power, that was a key clue. And the Reynoldses did try to buy the mine. So those are all important things. And we'll just dive right into it. Are there any questions about anything? Then let's get to the ambush. The man at the door, Slade, says, I think you need to keep walking, Mr. Slade. There's about to be some trouble here. And, well, you don't want to be caught up in the middle of trouble, do you?
No. And Slade will put his hand on the man's arm.
Oh. He dies. You can describe it.
There's just blankness on his face before he crumples to the ground, and Slade's going to step over his body and into the saloon.
Clarence O'Toole looks up from the table, a look of surprise in his face. Travis, you see Slade walk in also. You probably also see the man slump down on the ground outside.
Marshal, it is time to leave.
I think we should be careful.
Agreed. The back door.
Now, hold on, Marshal, Mr. Slade. We haven't finished our card game yet.
We're going to have to take a rain check on that game.
And Flapjack just went through so much trouble to bring this coffee over here.
There's official business to attend to.
Clarence pulls out a gold-plated revolver.
I strongly
Snub-nosed.
advise you not to do that, Mr. O'Toole.
He says, Marshal, I strongly advise you and Mr. Slade to sit down before things get out of hand.
I think the marshal looks towards Slade and shoots Clarence.
Clarence, of course, is a ghost. And I think the bullet goes straight through him. And he says, Travis, my boy, I think you are sadly learning the limitations that you are subject to here on this particular mortal coil. Funny thing is, if I shoot my gun, you'll drop right dead. No questions asked. Easy peasy. Slade, you can hear the men getting into position with their rifles.
Slade's going to just say, Marshal, catch, and throw the improvised ghost trap at him.
Nice, good. I like it. This is good. Travis, are you going to do the roll?
Why not?
Yeah. What does the improvised ghost trap look like? Just so we have
It's an expanding ring of oxidized copper.
Oh, interesting. Okay, good. I like it. This will be the day move. It is still day. Travis, what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Clarence will shoot me.
I think that's probably right. And you can roll with advantage because of the trap. And it's going to be, I think it's probably going to be
in my pocket. Okay.
It's probably sensitivity.
Sensitivity. Worse. 9.
You're going to succeed, but you're not going to be able to stop the gang from opening fire on the bar. You can mark a Janus mask to succeed and cause them to back off.
Sure, I'll mark a mask of the past.
Go ahead and describe capturing Clarence first.
I think as Slade tosses the trap to Travis, he swirls redemption around his finger and slides it back into his holster, and then with the same hand catches the trap and gives a little side of the mouth grin toward Clarence before opening the thing up right in front of him. And I think we see the look on Clarence's face turn from that cocky confidence to surprise, genuine surprise.
Indeed. Does he get like sucked down into it, or is he like just held in place? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I was picturing him getting sucked down into it.
If that Ghostbuster style.
If that isn't too Ghostbusters, yeah.
No, I'm into it. Yeah, I think it's good. Whoever's holding onto the trap from here on out, just make a note that it contains Clarence O'Toole. Slade, you can describe how you this causes the men to back off, or causes them to abandon what they were going to do.
I think seeing do we know that all the men are alive?
Not necessarily. Some of them might be ghosts.
So I think seeing that we have potentially the ability to make those is enough to rattle them, and they have to regroup and reconsider.
Good. We'll come back to the moment with the two of you there at the bar, having maybe finishing the coffee. I don't know, doing whatever you're doing. But we'll cut over for now to Pamela and Mr. Perdition. Pamela, you've arrived at the bottom of the hill that the tin mine is at. And you'll notice the little, like, kind of along the trail, the little shrine kind of situations and altars that we sort of described last time. And Mr. Perdition walks right up to them and he says, "This is just child's play," he says, grabbing things from the altar and kind of tossing them around. "It's close, but it's not exactly what you need to call upon real power. No, for that, Pamela, you need something entirely different. You need blood."
How much blood?
I suppose it depends on how much power you want to summon up into the world.
Are you trying to call upon so much power that we possibly need all of these people?
And he kind of turns around and he says, "Well, that's a very interesting question, Pamela. Truth be told, I have had something of a change of plan. I didn't know that I was going to be so present, so corporeal until very, very recently.
Noticed.
And now I'm wondering if here, walking on this earth amongst you people, if there's not more I can do." Pamela, what do
Yes,
you dream
Father.
about at night? When your head hits the pillow, what do you dream of?
Commanding attention
Hmm.
of everyone who sees and watches are beholden to the lies that I tell, because I'm giving them a blaze of glory.
Hmm.
I'm showing them the shining sun, regardless of what goes on behind the scenes.
He says, "Very good. Very, very good." Ah. And he makes his way, continues up the hill. Sister Mary, one of the miners, a young kid, 15, 16, he kind of comes up to you with his tin cup of coffee and his bowl of whatever stew they're eating that night. And he says, "Sister Mary, I don't think any of us are going to survive the night."
Do you wish to confess? Do you wish to clear your soul of all wrongdoings in the eyes of the true Lord?
No, I suppose it's probably too late for that.
Oh, my son, it's never too late.
Well, all right. Then I'll say that I think all of this was a mistake. We should never have started communicating with that thing in the mine. We were isolated, and isolated people start convincing each other of things, you know? They start convincing each other that up is down and left is right and right is wrong and wrong is right. And you just do your best when you don't believe it, but you can't speak out against it. You do your best just to protect people. But I don't think I can protect anyone here anymore. I don't think any of us are going to see the next sunrise.
The way I see it, young man, you have a choice. You can stay, try and protect the people, or you can leave and likely always wish you tried.
I suppose. And he kind of leans in closer and he says, Sister Mary, they intend to give you to whatever is in the mine.
I appreciate the warning, young man. I do appreciate it. However, I do have the true Lord on my side, and I'm not afraid.
That's a nice thought, Sister Mary. But do you really think the Lord, well, do you think he can look into all places at all times? Because I feel like he maybe can't see what happens on this mountain or inside of it. I think we're alone.
I've often wondered if one effect of the wounded knight causes a veil or a blanket or a, well, I've wondered if it is more difficult for an omnipresent, omniscient being to see what's happening in El Paso during these times, which just means that we have to act on his behalf with even more boldness, with all of our resolve. There's no time for half measures here.
And he kind of just gives a small half smile and takes another drink of his, it's probably chicory root or something. And he says, well, no matter what happens tonight, and no matter how it happens to be the way, I hope you and I will meet on the other side of it, wherever that is.
If your confession is done in genuine remorse, if you vow to spend the rest of your time that you have on this plane in the service of the true Lord, in the service of good, then I'm sure we will.
Good. Let's go back to the Rio Grande Saloon. Slade and Travis, the danger past. We'll just pick up that scene there.
Slade will step back from the window and say, I'm not sure it will distract them for long. We should leave.
I concur, Mr. Slade.
And he'll start walking toward the back door.
I think Travis will draw his pistol and just warily move outside.
Horse will already be waiting at the back, and Slade will kind of put a hand on his flank and say, "I have done something perhaps foolish, Marshal."
You're telling me this now, Mr. Slade?
It has only recently occurred.
Well, out with it then, man.
There is something more dangerous, perhaps even than the Reynolds, in the town. There is a god.
A god.
The word will suffice.
Are we talking about that Shipe Totec fella? Or someone else?
No, interesting. That may have been a better choice. This is Morpheus, one of his names.
And what's his domain, Mr. Slade?
Dreams and nightmares.
Well, he has been busy here late.
He has. I would say he took advantage of my naivete, but I believe I was more just curious what would happen. Regardless, whatever the Reynolds have planned, we must stop it and we must stop him. Perhaps at the same time.
And what is it that we need to stop him from doing exactly? Is God of dreams, nightmares? What does he want?
It would perhaps be best if we do not find out.
If we don't know what it is he's trying to do, how do we stop him from doing it?
I heard mention of a spiritual bomb. That may work.
Now, Mr. Slade, you've said a number of things today that I have no understanding of, and this is not the least of them. What in tarnation is a spiritual bomb?
I am as of yet unsure, but the Reynolds will know.
Well, I guess we best go ask him then.
Where are you all going to go?
Well, we want to meet up.
That is true. Maybe there's a camp. I can't remember if we established last time or not if the gang has a camp outside of El Paso, but it's not completely out of the question because they have in the past. So
I can't remember what happened to Hammett that we captured.
I don't know what happened to Hammett. He was leading the siege on El Paso. I think he got away, didn't he? Or you're wrong.
I just remember we captured him after encountering the boat the first time. That's the last I remember.
Oh,
Did we
interesting.
put him in the jail?
I thought so too, yeah.
He's a ghost, though.
Yeah, that's why it's confused. Did we put him in the trap? No, we didn't have the trap.
We didn't have it then, no.
Well, let's not dwell on it. I think in any case, there's probably a camp outside of town where probably at least Edward can be found, if not Isabella. She would never be caught staying at such a camp.
Well, maybe we'll have a parlay.
Yeah, indeed. Pamela, you're walking up the hill with Mr. Perdition, he says to you, you know, Pamela, there is a world beyond this one. It's like our world, but it's different. It's older. It's a place where the sun is new, where old spirits and old gods play and make war with each other. It is magnificent and terrible and bloody and every other awful, wonderful thing you can imagine, and you can reach it in your dreams. I think we have the opportunity to create our own reality. That's what we've always done, Pamela. We can create our own reality by bringing people into this world accessed via dreams. We can make ourselves the king and queen, the god and goddess of this world. We can hold them all in thrall. I think you have the power to do that, even more than I. I think that the people at the top of this hill might be receptive to such a message. I think if you were to deliver a message like that, they would be willing to sleep the long, long sleep. What do you say?
Sounds wonderful. So many in thrall to
Well,
start this new world. But that long, long sleep can't be death. If it's death, they're not going to want to go there. It needs to truly be dreams.
oh, yes, yes. I think you can deliver this message to them. But
You're you going to leave me holding the bag again like you did last time?
oh, Pamela, I consider this more of a passing of the torch, so to speak. A mentor giving the gift of knowledge to his mentee, the teacher and the student, that sort of thing.
Is this the last mask that you wore? And you're giving it to me now.
And he pulls from behind his back a literal mask and says, yes.
You promised this to me last time. If I do this, what guarantee do I have that you're going to let this be the one truth that I said I wanted, and it will actually happen? What kind of guarantee do I have?
He says, well, I can't run from you anymore. I'm here. My feet are touching the ground. The setting sun is warming my actual skin. I'm here to stay.
And what will you do once we open this gate? Bring everyone in to this world.
I shall go and I shall build us a happy little home. Now, those people are ready for a miracle. And he lifts the mask to your face. and puts it on. Let's take a 5-minute break. Edward Reynolds' camp is by the river. And you can see, as you approach, maybe looking out over a ridge before you get close, you see that particular mix of human and ghostly outlaws, especially as the sun is going down. The ghostly ones start to make their spectral being more known visibly. They have a glow. And you see Edward too, kind of looking a little anxious, probably wondering where Clarence is, if I had to guess. What do the two of you do?
What do you think our approach should be here, Mr. Slade? Now, you know me, I'm a shoot first, ask questions later type of fella, but perhaps that ain't the way to approach this.
If we wish for a civil discussion, perhaps a civil entrance is the approach.
I suppose so. Let's just make sure we have a civil exit available to us, should we need it.
Of course.
I think you'll be, yeah, you can head that way. You'll be challenged, before you get too close. And as long as you kind of put your hands in the air or otherwise show that you don't mean any harm, you'll be allowed into the camp. You're very outnumbered, so they're not too worried about it. Edward Reynolds will come up to you. He is wearing his conductor's uniform as usual. He has those terrible bruises around his neck, bruises and lacerations. He says, "Have you come to take my wife up on her generous offer?" She has a kinder heart than me. I could care less, couldn't care less, if the people of this town live or die.
We've come to offer you fair warning that there may be something bigger afoot than whatever this mess is you're cooking up.
Make the information move with composure.
Just wondering if I can get advantage here somehow.
You've got a lot of stuff in your personal quarters.
Yeah, I'm thinking I've got like 2 bound ghosts here. I'm wondering if I can kind of make it clear to him that we are capable of dealing with ghosts.
Yeah, you could probably hold up the trap that has Clarence O'Toole, right? And although that's already marked, but
yeah, well, I
But
also
you do
have
have
the
the
one
other
with Dr.
ghost.
Clarkson as well.
no, that's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, I could say. Now, I know you think you have the drop on us. You've been non-corporeal and all, but you can see we have methods of dealing with such things. And with composure, that's going to be an 8.
He says, I think you somewhat misunderstand my particular condition, Marshal. I am temporarily corporeal, and the goal is to make me permanently so. To make sure I don't have to return to that train along with these fools.
Well, to my mind, I'm a simple man, Mr. Reynolds. And a corporeal opponent is much easier for me to defeat than a non-corporeal one. Although, as you see, we are quite capable of dealing with either one of those possibilities.
He kind of like nods, taking your meaning. And then he kind of chuckles and says, "What makes you think we didn't meet the one you're talking about already? Down in the tunnels, when we were fetching all that gold."
You telling me it was you what set him loose on the town of El Paso, Mr. Reynolds?
No, no. I have a feeling. And then he looks at Slade. That was someone else who did that.
Yes, it was very much me. If you had been working with Morpheus, you would be more reticent to continue your plan, I believe, knowing that it would come to nothing.
So your clue is that they did make contact with him when they were getting the gold. That was all in the same place, if you recall. And so that's your clue. The complication is just simply that, well, it's kind of, the complication is kind of that, like, maybe you don't have the same kind of leverage over him that you think you do. Now listen. My wife seems to think that you all can be reasoned with. I don't care one way or the other. But I do my best to represent her interests and sensibilities whenever I may. You have time to get these people out of here. Do it.
Your wife will not be immune to Morpheus's charms when he gets his full power, Mr. Reynolds.
I think he goes for his gun. And he says, "What are you saying?"
If you care for the woman, if you wish her a continued life, you will assist us.
That woman and I have been robbing that train for 60 years. When I was hung, she stayed by my side. She found me on that train. She committed to helping me find my way back. That is not the kind of person who bends easily.
And yet, bend she will. Good day, Mr. Reynolds. And he'll start to turn.
Travis, what do you do?
I just kind of give a wry smile towards Mr. Reynolds and also turn away and just say over my shoulder, "Well, Mr. Reynolds, I guess we'll be seeing you soon enough."
He puts his gun back in the holster and turns around, and once he's confident the two of you are gone, goes back to his tent.
Mr. Slade, that's not what I would call an unqualified success.
And I think Slade is going to, before they leave the camp, just drop off his horse and say, I'll see you back at town, Marshal.
I guess you're saying I should know better than to ask what you're planning.
Someone here will speak. I can be very convincing.
Very well, then. I'll go see to the town's defenses.
Good.
What's your plan, Slade?
Try and find someone living and get them to talk.
Are you gonna like kill them and then talk to them as a corpse, or just like
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Who though? I assume somebody from the gang.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have a gang member in mind. Poor Felina is dead. Actually, I kind of like the idea of they have Felina's body. That could be fun. They keep her like almost Ava Perón style, you know, like a glass case or something, right? She was the leader of the gang, right? So,
It's a very Blakely thing. I like it.
yeah. Yeah, you can go find that if you. Yeah, you can find her body if you want. I think maybe it's kind of. I think they maybe have like one guy kind of sitting there. There's like supplies and crates and trunks and things, and that's there as well. And he's kind of there drinking coffee, and he sees you, and he says, well, I thought you were supposed to be gone.
I changed my mind. And as he passes, he'll just graze a finger along the man's neck.
We just see the coffee drop out of his hand and spill to the ground as he slumps down to the ground. And Felina speaks from inside her casket. We'll say it's just a regular casket. You open it up, but you can hear her, but she's speaking from inside it first, and she says, so it seems you are no longer taking the subtle approach.
There's little time for subtlety. Your leader's plan is doomed.
Yes, I know that.
We may be able to save some of your compatriots and the Lady Reynolds.
Go on.
Your methods will be useful in stopping a much greater threat and perhaps granting you the rest you have earned.
Make the information move with presence.
10.
She says, every night the Reynoldses go out to that river together and they bathe in it. They bathe in the water and they bathe in the moonlight, and they stay that way until morning, and they lay in the sun until the sun dries the water from their bodies. This is a habit they picked up after they got their hands on all that gold. That's your clue. Now, have I earned my rest? Or are you going to take my hand and take me to wherever I'm supposed to go?
I think Slade will consider for a long moment before, yes, acquiescing and helping her pass out of that body.
I think we just see her, the apparition of her in her fullness, her long black hair, her form-fitting leather riding clothes. She turns back and she says, "Wherever I'm going, do you ever come there?"
It is not for me, but wherever you are going, you will not be alone.
Well, send me someone who likes to ride and shoot and kill.
Slade will smile just a little and see her off.
Is it time to answer a question, group? What is the Reynolds' plan? There are lots of interesting connections going on here, especially up at that tin mine.
Yeah, I think we absolutely need to bring the tin mine into play. I think specifically the Rio Grande is why that river, it's sort of in the Wounded Knight territory, but why that river? It doesn't just run through El Paso. It's a big river.
Right. Yeah.
My theory is that it is this dimensional twin, or this is the river Styx, like the river of forgetfulness
Thing.
in this dimension.
Hmm.
And it has to be there. It has to be derailed. So this way they can bring Edward back. And
Oh, sorry.
they know this because they made contact with Morpheus in the mine. He gave them the secret, and they tried to buy the mine because their mine, or the entity in it, or both, is their way of setting off the mystical, spiritual, whatever bomb to be able to throw this ghostly train off of its rails into El Paso.
I feel like maybe there was supposed to be some kind of like sacrifice element that would rouse the creature underneath the earth. But there's an interesting new thing where Morpheus is now here and wanting to open up this portal to the dream realm via all these people at the mine. I wonder if that factors into any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Is Morpheus, the indication is that he's actually helping the Reynoldses, but he's also proven himself to be capricious and duplicitous, so we don't really know for sure.
I feel like Morpheus is helping Morpheus.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They think
Morpheus is
think
totally
he's helping them.
Morpheus.
Right.
I mean,
I'm wondering about cause and effect. Did the thing in the mine cause the River Styx Rio Grande situation, or did the Rio Grande River Styx situation cause the thing in the mine?
It could go either way, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yes.
creature was drawn to it, or the
Mhm.
creature caused it, right?
Yeah.
Caused
at this
a bend in
particular
the river, as it were.
at this particular nexus point, this is where
Yeah.
it meets, and this is why the Wounded Knight has been happening
Right.
every single time, because it shifts every 6 years.
Yeah.
It will touch the closest it's ever been, and then shifts out again, where it becomes just the normal Rio Grande.
Oh, so like
It's like an orbit.
Yeah, the
Yes.
6 years when the actual river Styx
Mhm.
lines up
They will
with the
meld.
Rio Grande.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's why it has to
Yeah.
happen this way.
Yeah, that's
And I
intriguing.
think that because how many Wounded Knights have there been? 4?
It's not established in the story.
Mm.
For many years, the place wasn't. There were no people here, so it could have been
Yeah.
happening for God knows how long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've been robbing the train for about 60
They've been robbing the train for about
60 years,
too.
So
Yeah.
like at
Yeah.
least
It's been a
10
while.
cycles now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, at least 10
So-
cycles. Yeah.
I wonder too if time is a little different for
Sure.
them and the train, because we said that, we know that Deputy
Well,
Wainwright
Isabella's
was
not
there for
affected
the
by it, right?
hanging.
Isabella is still young, right? I mean,
Yeah.
ever since she started robbing the train, there was a pause for both of them until he
Yeah.
got hung, right? And then that
Right.
kind of changed things. But
So I think, yes, the time I think is different for them. It's been 60 years of that for them. I wonder if it's a different timeline for regular people. Because I'm thinking Deputy Wainwright was a witness to the hanging. He is not, as far as we know, he didn't die when he was in his 80s.
well, no, the hanging was just 6 years ago.
Oh.
That was the last Wounded Knight. The last
But
marshal did
they've
it.
been robbing the train for 60 years. Okay,
Yeah, they were robbing
cool.
the train way before that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever got the full history, but basically what happened was they just saw the train and they just did and they were train robbers on their way to another place, and they were like, well, let's just rob this train. And and basically the train was just taking the dead to wherever the dead go, right? And so they just this was just like their cash cow. Every 6 years they robbed it and they got richer and richer. And then there was a complication 6 years ago that caused, I don't remember what it was, but basically Edward had to steal a horse to get out of town, and the old marshal caught him and hung him. And then that or no, that was 12 years ago. I take that back. That was 12 years ago. Or no, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was fairly recent. And then Isabella went to rob the train by herself and found Edward as the conductor of the train, and that's how it all.
That makes okay.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten all the pieces. I just maybe
Yeah,
didn't put them
it's been
together.
kind of just spread throughout the whole campaign. Yeah.
And if anything, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same exact way every single time.
Right.
All we know is, in this iteration, is that every 6 years, the River Lethe will hook up with this dimension and be here,
Right.
present in this dimension. I mean, if they've been trying to rob the train in different ways, and then each time that marshal of that time will capture Edward. I
that.
mean, it just happens. I mean, like, it doesn't even matter about happening the same way.
Oh yeah, they could
I love a
they could have
timeline.
perceived it as 6 years ago, but it was actually they've been doing it
Timeless.
forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
been
for a
happening
long
ever
time.
since
Yeah,
they
yeah.
decided to do this.
Yeah.
But again, happens a different way. I mean, the marshal of the town at that time will take out Edward, and Isabella
Right.
will always try to rescue her husband.
I feel like I really like this sort of time loop idea. I feel like it really ties into the idea that maybe there's only one River Styx, but there are multiple universes where there are El Pasos with
Exactly.
marshals and
Del Sols
Del
and
Sols.
Morpheuses.
Right.
I kind of feel like there's only one Del Sol, but
Yeah,
Del Sol goes everywhere.
yeah, he does.
right.
gets
He
around.
does, but he's
He's
there's
like the
still only one of
Yggdrasil,
him.
though, right? Like he's
Yeah.
like always there. He's this,
He's entwined throughout
Yeah.
all the universes. Yeah.
Well, let's
So I-
focus on our
I think
particular thing
that,
here.
yeah, this particular moment in time, they know when the river is going to line up with this other river. The idea when they want to derail the spiritual bomb to derail the train is actually to what's the thing when you set up a dam and you bomb stuff to make the river
Divert.
change?
Oh.
Divert the river, yeah, that kind of thing.
Mm.
They're trying to divert the River Styx. Not the train is just where the riders are. They're the passengers on the boat going down the
Right.
River Styx. They're
Yeah.
trying to divert the River Styx, and the only time they know where it lines up with this physical plane is during the Wounded Knight
Right.
on the
Through
Rio
El Paso.
Grande in El Paso.
Yeah.
And maybe the weird goat thing and the blood sacrifice is was their way last time. But
You know what I
now
love about
there's
it? Just occurred to
complication.
me when Mads' idea that like this has like been happening for a long time and it's a loop. We've never seen the train, right? Like we have never seen the train come through, but Deputy Wainwright saw the train or claims he saw the train. And it makes me wonder if Deputy Wainwright is caught up in the same or was caught up in the same loop that the Reynoldses are. Like Deputy Wainwright's always been here, right? And
Maybe all the people of El Paso are.
maybe. I don't
None
know.
of us are from El Paso.
That is true. You're all outsiders. Yeah. That's intriguing.
And Slade could be this iteration of death, but not necessarily happened the last time.
Yeah, this is the variable.
This is the variable.
We have the outsiders, including death.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's take a look here. We've got okay, so I think the whatever this creature is in the apartment probably speaks to the sacrifice idea, I'm guessing, but maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe this is a creature from a different timeline, and that's why it's specifically this particular creature that is being kept. Not a different time, different universe, if we're talking about these shifting universes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like them sacrificing that is a way of breaking the barrier or breaking.
Yeah. I mean, again, it could be that iteration, like the last iteration, like, required the blood sacrifice. So first they were going to do the goat.
Well, and Isabella asked Pamela, this is not a clue, but Isabella asked Pamela if she was a virgin, right?
Right,
like,
right.
Which I thought was like very pointed. I was like,
Right.
Rude.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, well, I mean, if it goes with my personal theory, it's like, in a way,
Yeah.
it does tie in, but there's a catch. But who knows?
So was their original plan then to like just do a sacrifice to cause the creature in the mine to like appear, and that would cause the river to that would cause the train to derail, that would cause the river to divert, or what was their idea here?
Because I mean, like, I would imagine that, and I don't remember what happened in the actual like tin mine threat, but I mean, like this whole idea of like some kind of blood sacrifice to be able to bring this entity out. They needed to own the mine to be able to conduct this ritual to.
And we've established the tunnels go underneath the river and everything too. Like we've established the tunnels from the mine go underneath,
which makes
everything.
perfect sense. Like that whole nexus area, ritual happening at that place. Yes, and then like draw the entity out, and it's big enough,
right?
Figuratively, possibly physically, to derail a ghost train.
Right.
What if they want to kill the creature?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And the cultists they're going to protect. Because
now I'm thinking of Watchmen, like the end of Watchmen. Yes, it could totally happen.
Oh, so they want to kill. Oh, the sacrifice is the creature.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And that's a spiritual bomb, killing a deity like that.
Sure. Yeah.
That
could totally work.
Well, and that's actually really interesting because the creature, if you'll recall, this is fun to revisit the campaign like this. If you'll recall, in that threat, when you were dealing with that creature, the creature acted like it knew Slade really well. it was like, hey, like
maybe not Slade, but death.
So, right? Yeah, sure. and maybe the creature is like, maybe he knows death so well because like the creature is like the sort of spiritual manifestation of the river Styx. Like it is the it is like the Styx, right? Like that's what it is. And so that's an intriguing idea, right? Like they're gonna like literally murder the river Styx to cause the train to derail,
right? And the goat is actually the bait, like for the physical entity of the river or what have you. The goat is the bait. The blood sacrifice of the entity itself is what's going to cause that psychic, spiritual, mystical bomb to derail the train completely.
Or in this case, they're just literally blowing up the river, right? Like that's kind of what they're doing,
Yeah. And because it's a conjunction point, blowing it up physically and spiritually.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of at the same time,
right?
So she was right. She was right. It will end the Wounded Knight.
Right. Yeah. That's all coming to an end. Actually, there's a lot of like big cosmological implications from this plan.
And their
Um,
reasoning for bathing in the Rio Grande is like,
Yeah.
again, ritual preparation.
Yeah.
Priests will do this. They will take
Yeah.
ritual baths.
Mhm.
Knights will do this before they become knighted, you know,
Mhm.
and then like it's a
And
prep.
this, I mean, it's the Wounded Knight, so the River Styx is pretty closely aligned at this moment to the Rio Grande. So bathing in the Rio Grande is kind of like, that's also, oh yeah, that's, sorry, derailed my brain. That's also why the Memphis
Right.
was coming
Yeah.
down the Rio Grande,
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
because it's not the Rio Grande, it's the River
Right.
Styx.
Right.
Mm.
Love it.
Yeah.
See, calls back.
So this is okay. So let's take a look at our clues. I think at least 4 of these clues are accounted for really well. The 2 that maybe need a little bit more explanation are what was Morpheus supposed to do, or what is he possibly going to do? And so because that is a clue that they made contact with him. And I'm still not super clear on the animal in the apartment. What was the intention of that? Because if they're gonna like, is the animal just to draw the creature out and then they kill the creature? Is that the idea?
yeah, that was my idea,
Okay,
was the
all
fact
right.
that it's bait. It's
Got
bait
it,
for
got it.
the creature.
I like that. I think that why this specific animal, why not just a random goat? I think that this specific animal is either from a different version of El Paso where maybe this worked, or from wherever the River Styx leads, or wherever the River Styx comes from, something like
Maybe
that.
it
There's
turns out
something
it's like some
specific.
kind of like particular Greek ibex or
So-
something.
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
just-
Or a satyr. You don't know.
Did we
We
see
didn't.
it? Or did
No,
we
you
just
know,
We
no
hear
one
didn't
saw
see
it.
it. We just
No,
heard it.
we just heard it.
What if it's Baphomet?
Oh, that's intriguing.
Well, dimensions coming together. Yay,
I
Nexus
love
point.
that.
So they have
So
actually captured Baphomet.
And maybe that's what Morpheus helped them do.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
helping dimension
intriguing.
crossing. Yay.
I feel like Morpheus probably gave them the idea for this whole plan,
Dreaming it up.
suggesting that, oh yeah, this'll work, but I don't think it'll actually work the way that Morpheus told them it would.
No.
This is a whole Morpheus thing.
Yes, this is a Morpheus thing. He's a lying sack of shit, and it's going to be
He
fun.
didn't, that's why he wanted to come and be physical for the next Wounded Knight, because he assumed that they would try this again. He didn't expect to be able to make it to this one.
Yeah.
So
So
now he's
I'm
trying to get the, everything
right. Well, so now
in
I'm
order.
curious, like, what is like, so it sounds like what Morpheus wants to do is have Pamela convince all these people with the mind to Jim Jones themselves into the dreaming world. And so I'm curious, like, is that part of the Reynolds's plan, or is this is Morpheus going rogue, doing his own thing?
Oh,
Like,
this
what?
is Morpheus
Yeah, I think
doing
so.
his own
This
is-
thing.
Yeah.
Especially
Intriguing.
now that Slade turned the key, which he wasn't. I don't think he was suspecting that his cousin was going to do that until the
Mm.
next iteration.
Mm.
But hey,
Yeah, maybe Morpheus was expecting that to happen after the river got diverted.
yeah,
And
Or he
things
just
are
played
different now.
Slade, knowing that things would get desperate here. This is how he'd get a chance to, once this is done, take advantage of the kind of giant spiritual upheaval to.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like, if you think about like dreams and death, you can imagine that, like, in some sense, death is almost like stealing something from dreams, right? Because when people go to sleep forever, or like when they die, maybe Morpheus loses access to them when they're actually dead. But if they just sleep forever, that's different, right? And so kind of like being here when the river Styx is going to get blown to hell, it's almost like Morpheus like picking up the pieces in a way and offering something new, right? Like, what if we don't die? What if we just dream forever? It's kind of an interesting idea.
And he is the Lord, the God of dreams, which means that anyone who is dreaming is under his.
Right. Yeah. He's like
that is a
building.
very vast.
When he
kingdom.
said, "I'm going to go build us a happy little home," I think that kind of indicates that there's like he's going to build a kingdom. He's going to build a something here.
Yeah.
It's intriguing. So he's
Good
just an
friend.
opportunist then. This is just
Oh.
rank opportunism on his part.
Absolutely. I mean,
Gods, am I right?
right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already got like, the people at the tin mine, like, at a loss of what to do. They need someone to lead them, and they need someone to lead them to something better.
Yeah. This could even just be like a trial run for like his eventual kind of like plans.
The starter set.
Yeah, exactly. So now the big question is, so this is good. We should roll to see if you're correct, that they intend to offer up Baphomet and then
do it.
and then like once the creature comes out to claim Baphomet, how are they going to actually kill the creature? Did we really establish that? Like, how's that going to happen? That's the part that's still not super clear.
I really want to
Maybe.
tie in Travis's old guns. He doesn't have anymore.
I think this is what I think it is. I think that what Dreams was originally going to do was to provide the miners as the sacrifice that would draw the creature out. Because if you'll recall, it was already well established from the foreman that somebody was coming to visit. I think that was supposed to be Del Sol, right? But the sort of like just the manifestation of Del Sol, and he was going to come and like basically do the work that Pamela is now going to do, right? Like just convince all these people to like kill themselves, right? That was going to be the big that was going to be the thing to lure out their god, right?
I think
then at that point, the Reynolds are going to kill the god, right?
right. I mean, that again, it's like it's all about like baiting, and then it's also about switching. Yay.
Right.
And then, well, this is not part of the actual plan, like the actual, resolution for the Reynolds, but it is part of like this plan to bring the tin miners under their sway, because Pamela does have a couple of bottles of snake oil and a bottle with blue lightning inside. So
Right.
maybe that's a combination for this nexus point to cause a long sleep.
Right. I love all that. I still think that like there's an open question of how the Reynoldses were going to kill the creature, though. Like,
Oh, yes.
like getting the creature's attention seems like the easy part, right? Like, how were they going to actually do it in? What was the actual
They
motive?
have this whole gang of ghosts and stuff for a reason, right? They have to. Otherwise, it's easier just to do stuff by yourself.
Right.
Or, I mean, Slade doesn't know why he's here.
Oh, you were supposed to kill the creature. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And maybe
You're part of the
death,
long con. That's good. Very interesting.
Maybe this is a Total Recall situation where prior to you becoming Slade, you were in on this deal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I love Total Recall, by the way. The old one. But anyway.
Oh, so that's interesting.
Too long
So they're
in
actually
the River Lethe.
They're manipulating Slade to get Slade to be the one to kill the creature.
I like that. Yeah. The only other thought I had was they were going to crash the train into it, but I think this is better.
No,
or it could be manipulating Travis to use grease lightning on the creature, right? That's another option as well.
And maybe that's their backup.
One of the other things was the idea that the tin miners getting the sleeping draft was supposed to be like a con where it's supposed to be you're killing the miners was going to kill the river or something like that, like, cause that blood sacrifice. But because they're not dead, because they're just in a long sleep, it will cause instead the derailment, the psychic bomb that derails the river. So again, it's another trick. It's another deception.
Right.
So that's another thing that can happen. It doesn't have to, but I mean, it
Prediction
can.
lie.
So good, dude.
I think what feels the most salient of all the things we've talked about, taking a look at the clues we have and the context we have, is the original plan was to draw the creature out by having Del Sol basically cause them all to Jim Jones, and then they would then use Slade or Travis and the power they have to actually destroy the creature. And then that would be the explosion that would divert the sticks, and that's the plan sorted. But the monkey wrench is the fact that Morpheus is like a free agent now and doing his own thing, and he's no longer killing the people at the at the mine. He's putting them into a deep sleep, and so that might change things. Nevertheless, we've also established that Morpheus has an interest in the bomb going off, and so
maybe
so
instead
so
of
maybe the dream thing is maybe
the
there's nothing there.
blood
Maybe
versus, the
maybe like the
dreams.
forever dream, whether they die or whether they sleep forever, it's the same effect. The monster is still drawn out. I guess I think that all sounds really great and good. I do go back to the clue with the animal. I'm still unclear that puts the animal in question again. Like, what was the point of it? Unless it's just to speak to the idea of ritual sacrifice, like, because Isabella was going to try multiple things. Like,
Yes, she was
is
going to try
Pamela a
multiple
virgin?
things.
Another
Okay,
backup.
we've got this goat.
Right.
Like, yeah, like they were going to try different
She
things to
had
get it to come out. Right.
Backup
It could be as
backup
simple as
plans
that.
to
Yeah.
D. Yeah, A,
Yeah.
B, C, and D.
Right. Yeah, it
You know,
could be
for
as
how
simple
this was
as
gonna
we got to
happen.
kill something, right? And so to get its attention.
Sure.
But yeah, interesting.
I like the idea that the original plan was to kill all of these people
Mm,
and have that be sort of this weird blood sacrifice. I like the idea that these people are sort of sworn to protect this thing in the mine. And with Morpheus showing up and instead putting them into a deep sleep, will give Morpheus control over this whole situation and the outcome
yeah,
after it's all done,
right.
versus, if they were to just die.
He has some chips to play, right? He has some cards to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at the clues. Let's just confirm everything. So the animal in the apartment was just, and also connected up with the conversation about whether Pamela was a virgin or not. It just speaks to the idea that Isabella is planning some kind of sacrifice. She's got sacrifice on the brain, and I think the Reynoldses are still trying to kind of figure out, like, I don't even think they're 100% sure what they actually have to do, right? They're kind of just like striking out.
Because they're also being manipulated.
Right, they're trying to cover their bases. We've established well why the derailment must happen in El Paso. The blood sacrifice is a way of like drawing the creature out. The mind speaks to that as well. The connection with Morpheus is sort of how they've settled on the current plan as it is, which is to get Morpheus to essentially kill all the people at the mine as a terrific sacrifice to get the creature to draw out. And bathing in the Rio Grande it's just a ritual process, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like ritual cleansing.
Yeah, ritual cleansing. It speaks to the importance of the Rio Grande and connecting up with the sticks. And
maybe they're kind of bathing in both at the same time in some way,
right? Because it's the moonlight and the sunlight, right? Like they're kind of like in a liminal sort of way. And it's not a capital C clue, but it's but we think that what they intend to do is to have Travis or Slade kill the creature once it's out of the mine. And so it sounds like everything is leading to the mine.
So now the question is, how do we stop this? What do we do about it?
Yeah, and how do you all meet up and have this discussion? And is Pamela even part of the discussion, or is Pamela going to be helping Morpheus inadvertently with the plan, right? Interesting questions. Indeed. Yeah. Maybe you all just go to the mine and see how it plays out. Maybe there is no plan on your part. Maybe you are just there to try to stop things as they happen. Maybe it's purely reactionary.
We answered the question.
Well, let's see if you did.
Question.
Let's roll some
Okay.
dice.
Mm.
It's a flat roll.
Always
Whoever
the
wants to
fun
take
part.
it. Yeah.
I guess I did, since I, posed the dimensional theory.
Go for it.
I'm all about it. 8.
8. It'll be a fight. It might be hard. There might be some losses. You all can, make it easier on yourselves if everybody spends mask. Of course,
I mean,
it means Sister Mary will be dead at the end. But
Yeah, I don't. I really
I
must.
mean, I
have
can
left
totally
'cause
do it,
the
obviously,
same
but
one.
it's really going to be up to Amanda. I mean,
Oh goodness.
because you can mark the bloodsuck portal and you'll still get to play out the end of it, but your character will be
Mm.
dead at the end. So
Okay, I feel like, oh, excuse my language. Turn on my camera.
like we haven't already.
I mean, if you're gonna make a sacrifice, this is the time to do it.
That's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I really like this idea that we're all coming together, but we all have different pieces of this puzzle, but we haven't chatted. I think I really like that.
Yeah, you all like kind of know
That sort
something,
of,
and you're all heading towards the mine, but
yeah.
you don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. Yeah, you have different pieces of the puzzle.
So last we left Sister Mary, she was being told by this really insightful young person
Yeah.
about about the weird cults wanting to feed her to the Fang.
Mhm.
And I think after this kid leaves, Sister Mary reflects on a lot of what's been happening and a lot of her dreams lately. Aside from the dreams of gold and riches that came when the Memphis showed up, where she was dreaming of setting up a very elaborate and wonderful church in El Paso. Her dreams are all hellfire. Just hellfire. And she has this feeling, where I have this feeling, that her fate is tied to this creature in the mine. And I think I want to go, and with the power of the Lord that has been invested in me so clearly, so obviously, I want to kill it.
Okay.
I'm going to set these cultists free. I'm going to set all of El Paso free. I'm pretty sure destroying this creature will end the Wounded Knight.
Yes.
Among other things.
Among other things.
Fantastic.
So it sounds like you're marking the bloodsuck portal.
Yes.
All right. Is everybody else going to mark Janice Mass to bump this up to a 10?
Yes.
It puts you in
Sure.
control of the conclusion, which is good. So we get to just kind of live in the narration of it. Let's take a 10-minute break so I can think about this a little bit, and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
Right.
The innovation.
It's all good.
It's nighttime. Travis and Slade are still in El Paso. Sister Mary is at camp, at the mining camp. And Pamela is still on the hill, waiting for the right moment. At least that's what Del Sol wants her to do. The right moment is approaching quickly. Those who are left in El Paso are dreaming. They're dreaming of gold. They're dreaming. And they are walking. They're coming out of their homes, coming out onto Santa Fe Street. Isabella is there, and she is draping them in white, but also draping them in gold. And they walk in a line toward the hill, singing hymns that sound like they're being sung in tongues or in some language that you can only understand in dreams. Slade and Travis, this is probably what draws you to the mine, is watching the people of El Paso march up the hill. Pamela Del Sol points down at the lanterns at the bottom of the hill of the townspeople approaching, and he says, "My work here is done for the time being. I'm going to go set up our little happy home. You do what you were put here to do, my dear Pamela. When these people are gathered, you preach the good word to them. You preach to them of the next life, of the world they can go to. If only they will sleep forever."
Will drink, and they will be part of that new world.
Some of your old friends are coming too. I have a feeling they're not going to be as receptive to your message.
I don't expect them to be.
One of them is a cousin of mine. Be careful around him.
Did you not dream me into place, Father?
Oh, Pamela. Every choice you've made is your own. I'll be
What's
seeing you
life?
soon.
What's life and death and dreams without risk?
Indeed. And he says, "I'm going, but not far. Come find me when this is done."
Of course.
As the
I
sun
think at this
sets,
point,
the sun rises.
I think at this point she has the mask like on her head, like it hasn't been pulled down, and she has found, maybe conjured, or maybe she had something similar to it. She's wearing robes of gold brocade, embroidered in gold thread, wearing soft gold slippers on her feet, and pants of silk gold. And as he says this, the sun sets, the sun rises. I think she pulls down the mask. "I am ready when you are, Father."
Sister Mary, you can see the procession. You can hear it first, singing their strange hymns. You can see them at the bottom of the mine. The young boy, he says, "None of us are leaving here alive tonight."
Young man, like I said, it's all about choices. You can choose to stay and fight against this evil, or you can choose to run away. I am going to fight against this evil, this thing in the mine that is drawing these people, that is corrupting this city, this town, corrupting everything around it. It must be this thing. I know it. I know that this false god, this false idol, I believe now. I understand now. And I think she's watching this procession of people as they walk up, almost like a processional going up the aisles of a church. I am here to stop this. I am here in this moment by God, by our Lord, by the blessed lady who inspired me. This this is my time. This is my moment. This is what I've been waiting for.
He
And
says, he says, I know a way
show me.
into the mine. I can get you there. It's narrow. You'll have to go in on your stomach. It's very tight. But you can do it.
Blessed is the person who approaches their God on their hands and knees. And I will be even lower.
He says, follow me. And he takes you to his secret entrance into the mine. Slade and Travis, the two of you are there with the procession. No one seems to be aware of you. They're not aware of anything. They're just bobbing back and forth, singing their hymns, holding their lanterns, gold jewelry around their neck and hands glimmering in the light. What do you do?
Slade's going to be looking at the crowd and turn to Travis and say, we must find the others.
I agree. Whatever we're going to do, we better do it fast.
Yes.
Isabella comes up to the two of you. She says, I tried. I tried to get you to help these people, to save these people. I don't know what's going on here. This is not what I was led to believe was going to be the plan. I just know that I dreamt like they did, and the dream said if I was to realize my goal, that I had to meet them, and I had to clothe them. The truth of the matter is, gentlemen, I don't know what's going to happen.
Where's your husband?
I can feel him. He's sneaking into the mining camp even now.
Slade will turn to Travis and say, we have one final chance to have him assist us.
Well, let's grab that chance while we can.
Start heading for that mining camp.
Pamela, the procession meets you at the top of the hill. Do you lead them into the mining camp with the rest?
She is completely masked. Her hair is underneath the mask as well. And all you see is the ornate gilded mask and the gilded embroidered clothes. And yes, she will lead them into the mining camp. Silent, and then just waving them on. She does have a sealed jar in her hand with a mix of the lightning as well as the snake oil and some of the river water.
As if Travis and Slade are on their way to the camp as well.
Yeah,
Do
you're
we
with the
see this?
procession. Yeah.
Do we see?
You will,
Pamela?
but you may not know it's Pamela, though.
No. But I think the way she's dressed, Travis is for sure going to take notice.
Oh, sure. Yeah. What do you do?
Mr. Slade, can you deal with Mr. Reynolds by yourself? I believe there's something I need to attend to here.
Of course. Be careful.
Slade, you will see Reynolds. He is in the camp, but he's following someone. A pair of someones in the shadows. You can't make out who they are, but they're going higher up in the hill, and Edward's right behind them, trying not to be noticed, but clearly keeping pace with them. What do you do?
Are they on foot or on horseback?
Everybody's on foot. Yeah.
Slade's going to approach with his horse that makes very little sound.
No. Approach the
Approach Frank. Sorry,
Edward.
Reynolds.
Yeah. Do you want him to know about you, or are you just trying to keep behind him?
I'll keep behind for a little bit, see if I can get an idea of what's going on here.
You realize what's going on pretty quickly when you see a young man who you don't recognize and Sister Mary. Sister Mary is crawling into a little gap in the hillside that this young man has apparently pointed out to her.
Slade will try and get between the hillside and Edward to cut him off and have a chat.
As soon as Sister Mary is inside the hill, Edward takes out a gun. He intends to kill the young man. What do you do?
Horse is going to hopefully be in the way.
You can move quickly enough because of horse. You can just there's no gallop. You just sort of are there. And Edward says, Mr. Slade, can't reckon you make a habit of saving lives.
Things are very different today, Mr. Reynolds. You know this must be stopped.
Do I?
For the sake of your wife, if no one else. You do not wish her to be a thrall of Morpheus for the rest of her mortal days, which I reckon will be very long.
This, I think, will provoke a roll. Night move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail to convince Edward?
I'm still in a mortal body.
Yeah. I think it's worse than that. He will kill you and take enough of your power to kill the creature in the mine.
Great.
Roll with presence.
Nine.
Let me take a look at the move. I can't remember exactly what I'm supposed to do. You do it or hold steady, but there's a complication or cost. Okay. The complication or cost is that Sister Mary has a big head start on you if you intend to go into the tunnel.
Yep. Let's take it.
So he says, what are you suggesting, Mr. Slade? That there's something else? A double cross?
Yes, and I propose we make it a triple. Whatever you are planning to do, whatever you are seeking to kill, turn it against Morpheus.
Well, we better make a move. We better get a move on. And he
Point the way.
goes into the tunnel where Sister Mary is.
Slade will follow.
Meanwhile, back at the mining camp, the foreman approaches you, Pamela, and he says, "You've come to preach to my people?"
I will not preach. I will only speak of a world beyond this one. And if they choose to join, they will not die. They'll just sleep.
They have like a little makeshift kind of wooden platform for messages and daily news and things. And he points you up the way and he says, "Well, we're here to listen. That's what we were told, that someone would be bearing a new message."
And Pamela will walk up to the platform, measured, deliberate. And as she walks up, she's turning this ornate mask to everyone in the crowd, seeing the spots of gold in their white robe. And she will, still with the mask on, she will raise her arms and speak. There is a world beyond this one, you know. It's like our own world, and in fact, our world, but impossibly ancient. It is a world where the sun is new, and where old spirits and old gods play and make war with each other. I have seen this all with my own eyes. It is magnificent and terrible and bloody and every awful, wonderful thing that you can imagine. But this place is a place of dreams. You can come here. You can go there, because it is all here at this moment. And she raises the jar with the lightning and the snake oil and the river water in it as it glows as she talks.
And I think as she does that, she notices that one of the crowd witnessing this is not wearing the gold jewelry, because it's Travis leaning up against something there. And he just calls out,
Are you doing your move right now?
"Yeah." You know, he calls out for sort of everyone to listen to. You know, this lady once sold me a dream. turned out to be more of a nightmare. I advise y'all, go on home now and don't listen no further.
Let's take a look at your move. This is the that unwelcome snake.
Yep.
You are here, leaning against a wall in the background, ready for action. You can strike with stealth or guns ablazing. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I think Travis, as Pamela raises the, well, he doesn't even know it's Pamela. I don't think, as she raises the bottled lightning, Travis is going to draw greased lightning and in shooting, call down a lightning strike that hits the jar in her hand. And yeah, the bullet from greased lightning is going to go right through Pamela.
Let's read greased lightning. You have a silver pistol that crackles with lightning. It can be marked as normal, or if you're in a situation where fast shooting or a sudden lightning storm would be helpful, you can mark it to get an automatic 12 plus. Are you going to mark it and have a blue lightning bolt carry you to heaven?
Yep.
Describe how the thrall is broken over these people, all the people.
I think as the lightning bolt crashes down, striking this jar that Pamela, the lady in gold, is holding high, and it bursts, and she's enveloped in water and lightning crackling across her body, and the crowd, turns away, shielding their eyes from this bright flash. And when they turn back, she and Travis are both gone.
Mads, are you cool with that as an outcome?
Yeah, I mean, I have a slight epilogue afterwards, but
Yeah, we'll have epilogues, yeah, but
very cool. I like it.
good. Down in the mine, Sister Mary. You find yourself on the ridge, looking down into inky blackness.
I start to mutter under my breath various prayers, some real, some I'm making up on the spot, as I strip myself of my clothing and stand there in just my skin, just how God made me. I am his sword. I am his dagger. I am the poison that he placed on this planet to destroy this being. I know this. I know this in my soul now. Every moment that it's led up to me standing right here. Oh, I am going to destroy this being that is destroying this town. I will be the savior of all of these people. There's no hellfire for me. Saint Mary.
A voice in the inky blackness speaks, calm and measured. You come dressed investments of power and vengeance, cloaked with righteous fury. And yet, I do not think you really understand what you are here for.
Creature, you false god, I know what I am here for. I'm here. I am here. I'm here to destroy you. I will save all of El Paso. I will save the souls of all of these beings.
He says, "Oh, Sister Mary, I am no creature. I am a man. Deputy Wainwright steps out of the shadows.
Sorry.
He is dressed in a garment of flowing, rippling black. And he says, "Are you really going to strike me down, Sister Mary? So many have tried."
I don't understand. Are you... Creature, why do you take this shape?
Oh, Sister Mary, I'm just passing through.
You don't... No, this is a trick. This is a false vision. Lord, bestow upon me the powers that you've always wished me to have. Please, now is my time. Now is my moment. I will destroy what is in this mine. I will I will be the martyr that this town needs. That's always needed. I will finally earn my place. And I dive off the ledge.
With
Uh,
sword in hand.
Before that, is Sister Mary in mortal danger?
Yes. Are you going to intervene?
I think Slade would like to intervene.
Yeah, you'll see all of this happening. What do you do, Slade?
He's going to approach from behind, and before Sister Mary can plunge down that hole, he's going to reach for her hand. Say yes, a martyr.
This feels like a good place to epilogue. Let's take a little 3-minute break. Think about an epilogue for your character. Also, if you have to do Janus Mask, maybe incorporate your Janus Mask elements into that, or otherwise do your Janus Mask and then epilogue as you wish. But we'll take a few minutes, come back and do that. Okay, so this is your last chance to tell the story of your character. Give us Janus Masks if you wish, or epilogues as you wish. Try not to implicate the other characters too much unless it once you clear it with them first. But otherwise, whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I can do my Janus mask going into my epilogue. Narrate a flashback to your childhood when you first met your mysterious mentor, Mr. Perdition. This is a few years after Pamela told her first lie. And it was after a show. that she probably wasn't supposed to go to, but she managed to sneak out of the gilded, ornate cage that she had with her family in society, in the society apartment, penthouse, wherever that it was. And she managed to sneak out to the theater and watch all these people be able to tell their stories, be other people and other characters. And she saw this show, and she snuck back home and dreamed dreams of being able to go on the stage, even though she knew that was not going to be possible. And when she dreamed of being in an alley with tall, dark pillars. And in this alley, she met this man. He wore a very gilded, embroidered hat, and he wore silks and brocades of gold. And the way the hat was over his eyes, it looked like he was wearing a mask. And she heard him say, "Well, you've seen the dreams. You've seen them play out, the dreams, for these people that are laughing and clapping and taking in all the lies that they tell. You too can lie. You too can be part of their dreams. Promise them the sun. Promise them the moon. And they'll never forget." And when the lightning struck Pamela, she saw the blue flash turn silver and then gold. And she found herself awoken in this alley again, but this time not within the tall pillars, but on top of one of them. She saw herself on top of this vast black pillar, and in the distance she could see other black pillars that were playing out other plays and worlds. From where she stood, she walked to the edge. She could see, on top of one, she could see someone dressed in blood, flowing blood, and holding sway over their creature court. She could see other people living out their own El Paso in different forms. And Isabella and Edward trying again and again to derail that, well, hellbound train. And she walks back to the middle of this pillar that she's on, and on it is a cell. Looks like a jail cell. And she walks in, settles down, adjusts her mask of gold, and waits for the next marshal to step through.
Good, thank you. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. The Janus Mask I owe you is to write a flashback to the first time you killed a person. So I think this is Travis shortly before he first met the woman in gold. When she offered him the bargain. And Travis and Wyatt are riding into town. Travis, for the first time, is wearing a pair of pistols on his hips. Not salvation and damnation, just ordinary guns. And Wyatt goes off to attend some business, and Travis stays with their horses that are tied up to the rail by a saloon. The door of the saloon bangs open, and a couple of drunken, rough types saunter out into the street. And one of them looks Travis up and down, says, "Well, looky here. What kind of pissant kid is this, sporting them two shooting irons? Why don't you show me what you can do with him, kid?" And kind of pretends, mimes going for his gun, and they both laugh. And Travis just squares up to them. Says, "You just try that again, mister. You'll see what I can do with these." And the one man stops laughing, spits on the ground, and turns towards Travis and goes for his gun. But Travis is just that hair faster. And the next thing we see is the other man running off down the street.
Rob, do you want to do your epilogue, or may I?
Please go ahead. Yeah, I don't think Travis has much of an epilogue. He believes he's gotten himself out from under the woman in gold. Whether
There isn't
that's
much
just
of
his
an
belief.
Yeah, there isn't much of an epilogue for Sister Mary either. We never learn if she experiences heaven or hell. We never learn if she becomes a ghost who haunts El Paso for all of her rest of eternity. We'd learn nothing about any sort of judgment on her behavior or beliefs or thoughts in her life, just like we don't for anyone else. She becomes a person who died in El Paso during those troubles. And that's it.
Slade.
My last mask of the past is to narrate a flashback to one of my siblings, famine, war, or pestilence, make a joke about how they would one day trap me on Earth. So I think in this dark and hazy place where we see the being that would one day inhabit Slade, looking down at a collection of mortals, and another strange hazy being approaches and with clear mockery in its voice says, "You love them so." And Death turns and says, "They are as much part of me as I am part of them. This is not love. This is inevitability." And back in El Paso, under that hill, Slade stands for a moment and strokes Sister Mary's hair off of her face and just says, "Never alone, sister." And he walks away. And back in the past, as war walks away from the form of death, we see Morpheus standing in the background, watching with a bit of curiosity, maybe the beginnings of an idea starting to percolate behind those weird wispy wings on his head. And Slade approaches Morpheus now and says, "This place is not for us, cousin. It never was. Will you come with me?" And he will draw the key from his pocket and leave it there.
That concludes the Between Ghosts of El Paso. Let's go ahead and do our stars and wishes for today, but also for the entire campaign, if you wish. And I will start today. That was a pretty incredible ending. I don't think that when we started playing this campaign, I had any idea how it was going to end. And I think we got probably the best ending we could get in terms of just feeling really epic, feeling lots of callbacks to the whole campaign, lots of answers, but also lots of ambiguities, which is fun. There were lots of puzzles left on the table, which I think is really interesting. I thought that everyone did a really, really good job of embracing their character's end and showing us what it's like for them at the end of the story. And yeah, I loved it. I love that we created this story of like the Wounded Knight has made El Paso into this like well, it's made El Paso into that battleground that the Son of the Mask, this Man of the Sun Mask always speaks about, right? Like this place where spirits and gods come to make war on each other and like and to play. And I really love that. I like that the ghost aspects of it are almost like they're almost like incidental. Like the ghosts are just a thing that have to be dealt with in the short term, but there's like a bigger question going on in this place. And so I really like that aspect of it too. Yeah, I grew really, really fond of these characters, and I am sad to not have any more time with them. But I think that the story was just really excellent, and I don't know how it could have gone any better. And I'm even thinking back to like on the last break, I was thinking about like even like Wyatt's role in the story, right? Because we lost Wyatt partway through, but even Wyatt, like looking back on like Wyatt's part of the story, it fits in nicely to how things shaped up. You know, it was really, it's really great. And yeah, I just think this is just a campaign that I think that everybody can be really proud of. You know, and so yeah, I'm just very, very delighted. Thank you all so much. Yeah, those it's kind of just vague stars today, but that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah.
My sorry, my feelings are coming up my throat somehow. I don't know. Feelings are weird. Don't know how to deal with that. I have a lot of feelings about this. This is the ending of this was honestly spectacular. I really loved all of the sort of multi-layered universe time loopy sort of thing. Mads, your epilogue about Pamela being in the fragrant void was not just obviously not just a callback to what's happening in this story, but also to very very clear references to our other the Between story. And I thought that that was just a really beautiful and succinct way to pull in this huge universe possibilities that we were really kind of leaning into in this last session. Um, wow, yeah, the theorize of the mastermind theorization went so wonderfully here. Reading the clues and we thinking like, okay, well, we have to figure out X and X. It's gonna be simple. Blood sacrifice means power. They're gonna do blood sacrifice and blow up the terrain. Like, there could have been a really simplistic way. And ultimately, yeah, I guess ultimately it was that simplistic way. But I think that we through all of our everybody's contributions, it turned into this wonderfully philosophical thing. Yeah, that I thought was really poetic and lovely. In fact, all this whole session was very poetic and lovely, and I would read this book. Um, I think if I were to watch this movie, I'd be like, it's too weird. I'd turn it off. But no, probably not. I'd probably like it. So yeah, this whole campaign, um, and then Jason, like you were saying with Wyatt's demise and Wyatt's story, really ties into this too. This sort of ultimately, what is the fate of El Paso? It doesn't matter. It's what the people do in El Paso to keep things going or to keep people around or whatever. It's sort of it is absolutely focused on the characters and the people. And I think, yeah, it was just really lovely. So okay, I'm done. It's really good.
The Weird West gets weirder. I mean, why not? Just saying in chat like how this is kind of like a meta callback to the way we play TTRPGs. That's sorry, the stories never end, and it depends on the table. I mean, like, other groups will theorize this a completely different way, maybe more simplistically than we did. But watching you guys do the campaign through all this, it was an interesting experience. And then coming in late to the game, how the character came out. I really enjoyed this, even though it was like only for a temporary time that I was able to join. And again, you guys going through the mysteries and then just going through the supernatural in this place and having it culminate into, again, a very meta um philosophical discussion about what exists and how we exist. Um it was so good, and I don't think, I mean, it could be different again. And I really enjoyed the way we took it today. Sorry. For some reason it's like it's very hard to let these characters go, and it's
You have
and
nothing to be sorry about, Mads. One of one of the reasons it's so fun to play games with you is because you are so good at expressing your emotions and so free with them. So thank you for being so open with us.
thank you for putting up with my shit. But again, stars for everyone for the characterizations. I mean, I really enjoyed how everybody went out. I mean, and again, leaving it open ended like that, it was very appropriate for the surreality of the way the story's been carried so far, and it could be continuing elsewhere in a completely different way, and it all depends on whoever's at the table and what they think is going on. So, stars for that. No wishes except for I hope that everybody that plays this game has as an enjoyable of experience, if not more, because that's why we play games. And again, I hope you enjoy the experience. Sorry. Overwhelmed for some reason today.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
feel, I don't know. It's hard to sum up the entire campaign, but we came into something that I thought was gonna be like a short break in the regular Shadow Society between campaign, and then turned into a whole thing of its own. Took on an entire life of its own that I wasn't really expecting, and it was great. And the ending today was, I think it would have been hard to pull off the way I wanted Travis to go out with a group that I didn't trust as much or feel like could trust me as much, because I'd be worried that I was overstepping taking away another player's agency or whatever. But I love the ambiguity of the ending. It became all about the characters and less about what the Reynoldses were trying to do. Like, did we even succeed? Yeah, it was really quite something. I don't know. I don't have better words for it than that at this time.
Yeah, this was so much fun, and so big star for that threat solution session. That was probably the most fun answering a question I've played in any of the Carve from Brindlewood games. Just the strange roads we took down into myth and alternate. It was just really fun, really cool, and I loved how everyone was bouncing ideas all over the place, and how we all bounced ideas throughout the whole campaign. It was a really, you can play this very straight to the characters as written, and kind of go in a more mundane path through this. And I love that was never on the table here. We brought gods and weirdness, and now there's time. It was just so much fun, and I really appreciate, as the new guy here, how welcoming everyone was to my characters, and felt really good to play with everyone, and really enjoyed being part of Shadow Society. And so thanks. Looking forward to a more wacky, amazing, profound, bizarre, and tragic, sad, beautiful moments.
Fantastic. Yeah, just I've already done my stars and wishes, but I just want to thank you all so much for this experience. It was so great, and this was especially fun for me because, like, even though I had a big hand in the creation of this game, it was still a co-creation, and so it was kind of fun to like, I know the between as the regular between, like, I know that works. I know how it's going to play, and for me, I know how it's going to work because it is my particular GMing wheelhouse, right? Like, I love, that's my mode, that sort of Victorian Gothic horror kind of mode. I can do that really well, and so it was kind of fun to play this. And I don't run Western type games ever, and so this was fun to do. And so I really want to thank you all for that, and for being fabulous players, and just, yeah, it was just really something. I've been thinking about, like, the ending, like, did they derail the train, did they not? And I don't think I want to answer the question. I think I just want it to, like, hang. I think that's probably for the best, because I like to ponder it. I want to ponder, what did the River Styx appearing as Deputy Wainwright mean at the end? What did that mean? Because Deputy Wainwright was the culmination of the Lady in Gold's plan, right? And so that makes me wonder, what was that all about? And then, like, yeah, just all the interconnections and stuff. It's fun I'll be thinking about this for a long time, and even just the small moments too, like, just the individual threats had lots of, like, fun moments. The Red Rock Cantina is probably one of my favorite settings in any game. Like, I just love it so much, like, that feels like it was ages ago, but, like, it was very much, like, part of the story. And, like, Lady Antonia, and, like, just all the other little things, August Kilkenny, all these, like, characters. There's just so many good characters, so many cool moments. The Shieldses, all them. So, it's good times. I really loved it. I don't think I have anything else, though, so we're right at the time. We've got Mads for one more week. I don't know what we're gonna do next week. We'll do something. We'll figure it out, and then we'll maybe we can do maybe the Christmas thing might be a thing we could do. I'll take a look and we'll see what we're gonna do. But yeah, thank you all so much. I'm gonna go ahead and wave goodbye to everybody watching the video.